So this week my mentor Karrie Fransman's come out to visit.
Hi.
So I thought I'd do you a little video with 6 questions about graphic fiction writing and creative writing generally. So do you want to start, Karrie?
Yeah. So my question is, how do you kind of draw the line between fiction and reality when you're writing?
I think it's important to do enough research that you know where the boundaries lie, so that then if there are gaps, then you can fill them with something that's creative and historically plausible, even if it's not a fact. It has to remain plausible, so you need to do your research on it.
Yeah, good answer.
Why all these different terms for what seems to be the same thing? So like comics, graphic novels, sequential art, there's so many different ways of talking about it.
Yeah, it's quite a bone of contention in the comic community. I think that the term comics is like quite lowbrow and kind of acknowledges underground roots. And that's why most people who do comics like to call them comics. It acknowledges that, you know, comics are accessible, anyone can do them, you don't need a degree or any kind of money to pick up a pen and paper and draw comics. I was going to ask you, why do you think it's so important to write and tell stories on residencies rather than in your usual place of writing?
I think once you go out of your usual environment, you come up with a lot more creative ideas. And also being on site in the place that your stories are taking place, then you can really get into the mindset of the characters and even walk the routes that they walk and things like that. So it really makes you connect with your material quite a lot more. And with some interesting results.
Yeah, I like that when we were walking around and you were like, this is where that character was, this is the path which they walked, and I'm like, wow, they stood here.
Yeah.
Amazing, isn't it?
What's the relationship between the writer and the artist in comics?
Yeah, I mean, it's traditionally, you know, there's often a team who creates the comic, and in kind of Marvel and DC kind of superhero comics, there's often, you know, someone who does just the colouring, someone who does just the inking, so it can be quite a big team. I'm an individual, I do everything myself, but I think, you know, it can work in different ways. I think if you've got a really good collaboration between two people and there isn't a hierarchy, often you get writer and artist teams, and the writer is kind of held up and venerated as this god, and the artist is kind of considered less important. And we see this quite a lot, like if you think about Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman, both of them are incredibly famous comic writers from the UK, and people often can't remember the artist names who they worked with. And in fact, sometimes they don't even include artist names on children's books, they'll just credit the writer. Really weird, because both are equally important, and I know from doing both jobs that, that they're both really important.
Okay.